Blog Talk Radio.
Great. Welcome to episode number 145 of Thyroid Nation Radio live talk show and podcast brought to you by Just Thrive Probiotic. I'm Dana.
And I'm Tiffany, and we'll be your host for today. Good morning.
Yay. Good morning.
Good afternoon. Well, we should actually say good day.
Good day. That's way better.
Good day.
Good day. Top of the morning to you. Today, we are talking with Adrienne Klein, certified transformational nutrition coach, and she's also known as the Thyroid Whisperer, and we'll be talking to her about intermittent and thyroid disease. She's fabulous.
Really cool.
She is really adorable and wonderful, and she's a expert on thyroid refresh, and just love her to death. So we are so excited to finally have her on the show. It's been a long time coming.
Yes, it is. Before we get to Adrienne, please check out Thrive. Okay, a little tongue-tied this morning. ThriveProbiotic.com. Very unique, spore-based, verified to survive gastric acid, which is super important. Gluten, dairy, sugar-free, non-GMO, all the mandatory minimums. And proven, that's a key point, to reduce endotoxins, triglycerides, and symptoms of leaky gut, which is very, very important, particularly for thyroid, particularly for us Hashimoto's and Graves' thrivers out there. Mm-hmm. So please be sure to check out ThriveProbiotic.com. And it looks like she is with us. So with no further ado, the fabulous, fabulous, fabulous Thyroid Whisperer. Good morning. Can you hear us okay?
Hello, ladies.
How are you this morning?
I'm perfect. How are you guys?
Wow, your voice is lovely and clear and strong. That is wonderful. Dana, can you hear it?
Yes, I can totally hear it. Yes. Yes.
I'm like,
great.
Well, sometimes, Tiff and I have, for some reason, just technical difficulties follow us around. So sometimes, it just doesn't go like this. But I knew it was going to be a great day. I saw a little butterfly outside just a few minutes ago, and I was like, you know what? It's going to be a great show. So I knew it was.
What color was it?
It was yellow. It was yellow.
Oh, very cool.
And it was actually kind of big. Kind of big. So I was like, wow, look at that. And I just kind of watched it, flitter by, and yep.
Have either one of you guys ever actually seen a monarch butterfly?
Oh, yes.
No.
The big blue ones I never have. I would really like to see one of those. You know what I mean? It would be totally symbolic at this point in my life.
Right? Yes.
And the blue morpho as well, native to Costa Rica, I believe.
Is that bigger than a monarch?
I don't know. I think it might be. It's pretty huge. And we went into this, butterfly atrium, or what do they call them? Anyway, aviary, no, that's a bird thing. Okay, I can't remember. Anyway, and they were just flying all around us, just everywhere. And they were.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yes, and we had them in our hands. No, the big blue. Well, I mean, they're kind of iridescent and blue and stuff, but they're just truly spectacular. So that was really cool when we lived there. We took my husband's sister there, and we all went. And it's like funny because the whole time you're just like, wow, so cool.
Yeah, I probably think I'd pass out if I ever did. Okay, so that's a bucket list for me. I need to walk through a whole butterfly. What do they call them? Herds?
I don't know.
Butterfly flocks? I don't know. I'm special today, ladies. I have to apologize ahead of time. I'm in rare form this morning.
What morning are you not in rare form? Especially when we get on the show. I mean, seriously, we generally start laughing like seconds before the show starts, and so we join the show laughing. So that's always a good thing. It's my favorite.
I think that's perfect.
To do the show.
You know what? It is us. I think there's probably some listeners that maybe are a little bit more serious. Of course, the subject and the topic oftentimes can be very serious, but for Dana and I, it's really a critical point of wellness in being able to laugh and find humor and everything. I know for me, and for you too, Dana, I'm going to just speak for you right now. So
okay, go for it.
Laughing is like essential to well-being. So the more we can laugh, the better it is, really.
I agree.
Yeah,
And speaking of podcasts and Tiffany and I, before we get into Adrienne's story and intermittent fasting, I wanted to just give a quick shout out to your podcast that is launching today, Grass-Fed
Oh, how
Ginger.
cool.
Yeah.
What's it called? What's it called?
It's called Grass-Fed Gingers. So it's myself and another nutrition friend who is also a redhead. And we went to the same nutrition school, and she just graduated a year before I did. She lived in the same town that I was in at that time. And so I thought, oh, well, we have got to meet up, right? And as soon as I saw her, I said, we have to do a podcast. And this was almost 3 years ago. And so she at that time said, no way, that's way outside my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And so a couple of weeks later, we met up again. And again, I said, hey, we need to do a podcast. And again, she said, no, that's way outside my comfort zone. So then I went home and I made up, I did a mock-up of some cover art, and I came up with the name Grass-Fed Gingers, and I sent it to her. And that's what sealed the deal.
Right, okay, yay. Woman, let me just tell you, that is the best name ever.
Thank you.
I know.
It's awesome.
That's very cool.
So I obviously just specialize with thyroid patients, and she specializes with digestive patients. So I think we're a really great match. And she's very zen, very calming, kind of to my more hard-hitting, kind of scientific. And so we really balance each other out that way.
I love that.
Cool.
Also, will you tell everybody a little bit about where you both went to school? I know about it, but I want everybody to know not just the name, but what makes it different and special.
I love that I've been getting a lot of emails just lately on people inquiring about the school that I went to and would it be a good choice for them. And I chose the school that I went to is called Institute of Transformational Nutrition. And it's, accredited through the NANP, which is the National Association of Nutritional Professionals. So any school that you choose within the accreditation of the NANP, you're going to get great science. You're going to get the nutrition science. What made ITN stand out for me is that not only did you get the science, but you also got psychology classes and spirituality to go along with it, because it's not just about the food. There's more to this than just the nutrition science. And so it really helps to kind of plug in and help people through their own nutrition journey without just saying, here's your macros and off you go.
Right.
So that's what made it stand out for me.
And who's the founder?
That would be Cynthia Pasquella Garcia. So she recently got married, so I think she added the Garcia on the end. She is amazing. And she's, all over social media. She has books out, and she is such a believer in helping people get their health back that she, started this school way back when, and now it is what it is today, which is just exploding.
That's very cool.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you for sharing. I just wanted everybody to know. So the Institute for Transformational Nutrition?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or as we lovingly call it, ITN.
Okay, ITN. Great.
And so for people, when does the Grass-Fed Gingers, does it go live today, or when can people start to listen?
We're going live today. We are going live on Facebook at 10:45, and at that time we will be giving the links out so people can go listen. And we're actually pushing 3 episodes out today. We're going to do our very first episode, which is our stories. Why are we holistic nutritionists, basically? And the second episode is also going to be about intermittent fasting. It's kind of it's kind of a love of mine right now, so I want to talk about it a lot. And
we're
then
just
episode
warming
3,
you up, babe. We're just getting warmed up for your podcast. You're going to be you're going to be on a roll, rolling.
And then the third episode is the importance of self-talk and self-care. So we've got, nutrition science in there, but then we also have more of the, introspective stuff as well to help you along your journey. So we're going to have some giveaways, and we are hoping that people will listen to our podcast and give it some ratings on iTunes, and then we'll be able to award some prizes based on, those ratings.
And I think one of the prizes is a year membership to Thyroid Refresh, right?
Yes, that is the biggest one that we're giving out. We have some like Restore Gut Health nasal spray. I'm giving away some CBD oil. It's the high quality, whole plant, organic, third-party tested CBD oil. But the big one is for a 1-year membership to Thyroid Refresh, which is just such a great resource for any thyroid patient.
Yay! Yay!
Sounds like a meow.
I know. And we will be launching, just since, we're talking about, we will be launching our flagship product hopefully in September, end of September, which is Thyroid 30. So stay tuned and be sure to check us out. Okay, let's get into
exciting. Yep.
Yes, very exciting. Let's get into intermittent fasting since you're all about it. We want to know. We want to know more. And first of all, will you tell the listeners what it is? What intermittent fasting is?
Hang on.
For those who don't know. For those
I would love to know. I would love, not to back everybody up, but I would love to know, and I want to get into intermittent fasting really quick, but can you give us a little bit about you, Adrienne? How did you get to this point, and share just a little bit about you before we jump into that awesome, I'm like chomping at the bit for that subject, but I would love to know a little bit more about you. Yeah.
Sure. So I have been a thyroid patient for about 20 years now, and I did just fine for the first 12 years being diagnosed with, your medication you take every day. You go in once a year, and life is great, right? And then in my early 30s, I started to get really sick, and no one could help me. And the symptoms that I was experiencing at the time, no one connected to my thyroid, and essentially having an under-medicated thyroid with a conversion issue. So I wasn't converting T4 into T3 well, and I was on a T4 only synthetic medication. So my cells were basically starving for the thyroid medication, thyroid hormone that it wasn't getting. And it took a couple of years to connect all the symptoms that I was having with it being an under-medicated thyroid. I was having sharp shooting chest pains, weight gain, hair loss. My hair turned into a Brillo pad. It was so crunchy, and it just broke off into my hands. The most debilitating was I was having panic attacks every single day, and not just one. It was usually two. And the way the doctors, dealt with that was to give me a prescription of Xanax. And I couldn't leave the house without Xanax, because otherwise I wouldn't leave the house. I would just be out in public and having these panic attacks. And if you've ever had a panic attack before, it is terrifying. You do feel like you're dying. And so to me, that was very debilitating, and it was hard to be a mom. It was hard to build a business. It was hard to do anything like that. So I decided to take my health into my own hands, be my own advocate, and I really figured out that all of this actually was connected to my thyroid. And that's when I went to a naturopath, and I got put on a different medication that has also T3 in it. And I started to very slowly figure out how nutrition could also help me. Because every doctor that I went to, I said, what can I be doing different with my food to maybe feel better? There has to be something. And the answer that I got was, you just need to eat less and work out more. Truly,
hear that all
everyone said that.
We hear that all
this
the time
is
on here, and
all the time.
it's so disheartening.
Yeah.
It is. breaks my heart.
I swear I'm waiting for the headline of, thyroid patient attacks physician.
Yes.
Over telling them they just need to control their diet a little bit better and exercise more, and thyroid patient lost their crap and attacked the doctor. It's going to come
if most thyroid patients, the thing that we think about the most is this stupid weight gain that we experience. And if there's any other patient aware of their weight as much as thyroid patients, I don't know them, because we tend to be obsessive about it. We'll do all the diets. We'll do extreme calorie restricting. So when I would go in and I would say, I'm tracking my calories, I'm eating 800 to 1,100 calories per day and working out with this chest pain that I'm experiencing, and the scale goes in the opposite direction.
Yeah. My own child didn't even believe me, and we went walking. We went walking, and we were doing this really cool brisk walk in the wintertime, and I gained 6 pounds in 2 weeks. But did you know there's actually a study that showed that I don't remember whether it was Hashimoto or hypothyroid, but they were given an average of 600 calories a day, and they gained, on average, 3 pounds a week.
Okay.
I believe it. Yeah.
And it's just as important to say that for Hashimoto women that are not overweight, that struggle with being underweight, because that is a thing. Isabella Wentz, of course, was one of them, but weight is still an issue, because Hashimoto is on that low weight, end of the range. They struggle to gain weight. So in one aspect, one body type or whatever makes that difference, is still weight is a common concern. Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy when you think about that? And people often associate that with Graves' disease, but that's actually, present, although it being on a smaller amount for Hashimoto's as well. Now, Adrienne, were you diagnosed with Hashimoto's? You're a Hashimoto, correct?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed when I was 28 by my OBGYN. I think that was the first time I was ever tested for Hashimoto's, versus when I was 20 is when I was told I had an underactive thyroid. I don't know if it was tested at that time.
Oh, my gosh, so 8 years later. So you didn't even know you were autoimmune. 8 years later. Yeah.
I had no clue that was even a thing. And my, OBGYN at the time said, oh, so you have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune form of, hypothyroidism. And I said, what does that mean? I know. I said, what does that mean? And she said, well, it doesn't really mean anything, because I won't treat you any differently. It just means that you're more susceptible to get other autoimmune diseases like diabetes, MS, or lupus. Right. And that was all the information I was given, which is terrifying.
Thank you so much, right? Now, when you say you were taking T4 only medication, just because it's a personal thing with me and I love to know, when they actually tested your T3, your free T3 at your provoking, were you out of the range low, or were you in the low range with all of those symptoms?
That's a great question that I don't have the information right at my fingertips. It was back in 2014. I just know that I said, I want to try this natural desiccated thyroid medication that, comes from the pigs, and it has both the natural T4 and the natural T3 in it. And that's when my thyroid levels really started to get so much better.
Right.
Because I don't know if they're really high versus low.
Right. No, the reason I ask is because I think it's really important to point out for thyroid patients that your free T3 can actually be in that low normal range and yet still have all of those symptoms. You don't necessarily have to be out of the range low in T3 to actually have all of those awful symptoms present. So it's kind of, I'm always curious to ask, but who's going to remember that, right? You're like, Tiffany, that was so
agreed.
long ago. Are you serious?
like we say, normal, isn't what you're looking for. You're looking for optimal, and optimal doesn't, it includes both numbers and, how you're presenting physically.
Exactly. Don't we wish all docs did that?
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. And so you chose to come to nutrition by your own journey. Look at how many amazing careers and passions and everything were found out of this challenging disease. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yes, and it's just growing, and I love to see so much more information out there than there was just even 3 years ago.
Right.
It's just people are waking up to the fact that this is more than just take a pill every day and go in once a year for blood work. It's so much more than that.
It really is, and I think, more people are, it's crazy. You think of how many people are walking around undiagnosed also. That maybe are just thinking, particularly like, people that are over 40 or maybe just had a baby, it always gets, pushed off to the side because, oh, you're a new mom or, you're an entrepreneur, so of course you're tired and losing your hair, you're stressed. And it's like, no, there's lots of entrepreneurs out there without thyroid disease that don't have these problems.
Right.
So it's
and
really
I get
important.
so many people who say, well, I was tested and I was fine. And I said, great, what did they test you for? And, of course, they don't know. And then when they do go look, it's just the TSH. And I say, well, if TSH was the only test that your physician ran, that you didn't get a full thyroid workup.
Right.
So come to me and get a list, and you take that with you to your doctor, and you just say, these are the tests that I want you to run. And then you stop talking. And if they say, I won't run these, then you say, thank you, and then you go find a doctor who will.
Who will, right.
And if you're tied to your insurance, then we'll call it pulling a Mary Showman, and you just have handy this little note that says, okay, since I'm stuck with you and you're a moron, could you please sign this piece of paper that says that you're refusing to run these tests with these symptoms present? Here, I'll sign here. You go ahead and sign here. Could you please make me a copy and keep that one in my chart? And that will inevitably change their little mind fairly quickly. I'm 99% certain. I'm going to call that pulling a Mary Showman.
Yeah,
I love that.
Pulling a Mary Showman, right? Seriously.
Mary Showman.
Who's brilliant, by the way.
Yes, I know.
And just smile and say thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I'm sure this will change their mind. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
Demand politely.
Demand politely.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to you want them to be on your side. So you're trying to you're working together, you're a team. It's not, they don't get to have, the veto over your health.
It's not a dictatorship.
You get to work together.
Right. It's
definitely not a dictatorship, no.
Right.
No. And there are so many people, I just want to say really quickly, there are so many people that I know personally that just because I've been, dealing with this for so long, I suspect probably have thyroid disease, and they've said they don't because they've been tested. And I guess I don't want to push it any further than that, but I think I will just say, well, what tests were? And suggest that they get a full thyroid panel. Sometimes I do, but I feel like it's such a misdiagnosed and undiagnosed disease, and it's only going to get worse. Which is we're all dealing with it, and maybe we're all going to get lots smarter and healthier because of this. So maybe there won't be more. But
the silver lining.
Yeah,
and it's super important to have your antibodies tested because, like for example, in my case. And so many people that we've talked to, I was diagnosed to Hashimoto 4 years before my TSH actually fell over 3.
Right.
So, even by awesome standards of TSH, right, using 3 as a high mark on that, it still took me 3 years, almost 4 years being a Hashimoto for my TSH to fall in a treatable range.
And so they didn't medicate you then?
They did not medicate me for almost 4 years. And I will tell you, just from my experience, now, of course, Epstein-Barr was an X factor for me, so you can't exclude that in part of it. But
Right.
looking back on everything now and everything that I know in my own experience, and that actually might actually change my opinion with something recently, but I would have gone on a low-dose medication. I would have asked to be medicated when I was diagnosed Hashimoto, because when I went on medication, I felt so much better. So I would, and there are some studies that actually show that going on medication at the onset or diagnosis of Hashimoto's can actually slow down the immune attack while you're obviously trying to figure out what your trigger is and working on that. You don't ever want to let that go. But I felt so much better. There was an enormous amount of symptom resolution by going on thyroid medication. So I would have asked for it at the onset of Hashimoto's, even though my TSH was not technically, even by ideal standards, as it was under 3, not in a treatable range. I still would have asked, if nothing else, just for symptom resolution.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's
I love that you said that, because when I was first put on the Thyroid, I think is what I was put on at that time after being on a T4 only medication for 14 years, my antibodies were up in the 700s. So
wow.
I start Thyroid, and 6 months later tested again, and my antibodies were down the 200s. And this was before I did anything with diet. This was just changing my medication actually affected my antibodies in a way that I would have never. And of course, the doctor says, well, we don't really test antibodies, once you're positive, because, once you're positive, you always have it, so it doesn't matter. But the thing is, the higher antibodies, the more of a reaction your body's having, and that's what's, creating a slew of these horrible symptoms.
Exactly.
So you get those antibodies down, and if you get it down below 30, then you're considered in remission, which I've been able to do with diet alone. I went from the 200s. Now my last test showed that my antibodies were at 9. So I'm in remission based on changing medication and nutrition. Not saying that that's going to work for everyone, but I think that it does have a huge impact to test those antibodies on a regular basis and to do what you can to lower them, because that's what's going to make you feel better.
And what kind of medication you were on?
Thyroid. So I went from Synthroid, the brand name, to Thyroid.
And now, do you still take
And were you
Thyroid?
like, oh, when you got the Thyroid?
Yeah, it's been a long journey. So it's been about 4 years, but right now, every day I wake up, and I feel so much better than I did the day before. It's just compounding, and it's just amazing as long as I maintain, this nutrition plan that I've created, and, the sleep is important and movement is important. Everything that goes into it every day is an amazing day.
Okay, so wait, back up. Sorry, I wasn't sure if I'm following. Are you on any medicine right now?
I am.
Okay, so how much do you take?
I think I'm at the 97 micrograms of Thyroid.
Did you find that going down, when you started feeling better? Did you start reducing the amount that you needed?
No, when I started feeling better, and following this nutrition plan is when my TSH started to finally be reined in, and my medication was starting to do its job.
Right. So and for the listeners, let's explain what that means in the world of, no thyroid patient needs meds when you're in remission. Yeah, no, that's not the case, okay? So what you're telling us is we remissed the Hashimoto's, but you had enough tissue destruction already that you are maintained with your thyroid medication. Yes. So let's all give a huge shout out to thyroid medication, and not everybody can go in remission and go medication free.
Yes.
Can I get a hell yes?
Exactly.
Okay.
You can get an amen and a hallelujah.
Let's get a bullhorn. Let's get a bullhorn.
I want to say even louder that you don't heal Hashimoto's. If someone tells you that they can heal your Hashimoto's, please run the other direction. I have Hashimoto's. I will always have Hashimoto's, but it's considered in remission, and I still have to depend on thyroid medication to get that thyroid hormone into my body.
Mm-hmm. And we have, just to show the diversity of thyroid patients that we have, then we have me that has Hashimoto's and Graves'. I've been on as much as 90. Right now I'm struggling between 30 and 45, dropping it. So when people tell you that once you go on medication, you'll always be on thyroid medication, blah, 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 for some that have experienced that degree of tissue damage, yes, and you should be extraordinarily grateful for your thyroid medication. And then there are others that can adjust that medication as that challenge and journey continues. So
yes, and with a physician,
really simple paradigm that I wish that we could just get some duct tape for the people that are telling people wrong, and a bullhorn for the people that can help people navigate the journey well and accurately. So I hope you felt, I just gave you a big hug and a kiss, Adrienne. Did you feel that?
I did, and I love it. Thank you.
Just making sure. Oh, my gosh. It's really important, and I can't tell you how much the hair on the back of my neck stands up even when I'm in the grocery store and you'll see this woman's magazine or whatever, you can heal your thyroid problem. And, I live in Joshua Tree, so I get all these people that come to my thyroid booth that, I stopped taking my medication, and you're just looking at them and you're like, why would you do that? The consequences are so great to gamble with that. You know what I'm saying? You just want to tell people, let me show you this circumstance and this circumstance and this circumstance and this circumstance of people that gambled. You don't win when you put that situation in a gambling situation. Do it smart. Yes, you absolutely, if your thyroid is possible, you can go off medication if you've had no tissue destruction and, yada, yada, yada. But then there are people that go in remission like you, live wonderful lives, very healthy, and yet are still grateful every day for that stinking little pill. Right? There's no such thing as one size fits all in thyroid. It just doesn't exist.
Agreed. And too, when you're getting better, and there's a possibility that you could get off medication, you're doing that with your trusted and qualified physician to do so.
Right.
You don't just wake up one day and stop taking
under guidance.
Right.
Under guidance.
Professional guidance. Yes.
Yes, because I wonder those people who do say, they comment, they say, yes, well, I started feeling better, yada yada. My nutrition, I'm moving, and so I'm in remission, and I stopped taking my thyroid medication, and I'm doing fine. I'm doing great. And this is a year, or maybe it will have been, 3 years for the person. Okay, well, that doesn't mean that it's not going to be this hellstorm in 5 years or 10 years, or
yes,
It's
a slippery slope if you're not careful.
It really is. That's why it's so important. Like you said, your trusted physician that can help you monitor. And what if you go off medication and your TSH and free T4 and free T3 stay fabulous, but your antibodies continue to rise. Super important for those patients out there that do not get their antibodies tested. Yes, many physicians will tell you, because I'm not going to treat your thyroid condition any differently, we really don't need to know this. And what you need to remind them is, you may not need to know this, but I need to know this information, because while you're, fabulously monitoring my TSH and free T3 and free T4, I am going to be working to make my antibodies, put them in remission. You may not be doing that, but I'm going to be doing that in my own private time. So it is very important to remind your physician that you will be working on it, even though there's nothing that they will be doing about it.
Yeah, and that should make them feel better, right? They're like, oh, okay.
Right. That should
be
a great thing. Having a proactive patient, I think, would be...
I'm not a doctor, but as a doctor, and even just a practitioner in the nutrition field, I would want more information. The more information that I can gather, of that data, is the better I can help you with. So it always befuddles me when they say, oh, no, we don't need it. Like, well, okay, but wouldn't it be fascinating to know otherwise? Anyway.
Well, and for your clients, Adrienne, how often do you like to see those antibodies, run, especially working with nutrition? As your markers?
At least once a year.
Yeah.
So what I like, in the perfect world, and this doesn't always happen, is they've had their antibodies run pretty close to the time that they've started to work with me and that I put them on a nutrition plan. And then 6 weeks after they start the nutrition plan, run those antibodies and all the other thyroid levels as well, and to see where they're at, because there will be a change, no doubt about it. So that's a perfect world, and it doesn't always happen that way because, some patients don't go to the doctor that often, or their insurance doesn't cover that many appointments. But at least once a year, you should be looking at your antibodies and seeing where they're at.
Right.
Definitely. I was just what?
No, I was going to say, as long as we're talking about antibodies, the studies are showing that intermittent fasting can actually put us in remission. But go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah. That was my next thought.
So
okay, let's
go. So that's
let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Oh, God.
So I've shied away from intermittent fasting, or at least talking about it, for a while, because there wasn't great information with thyroid patients for intermittent fasting. There's information out there for extended fasting, 10 days or more for thyroid patients, and how that really does affect the thyroid. But that's not intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is a little less invasive than that. 10 days is quite a long time to fast or to water fast. Yeah, it's 10 days, and there are people who do it, but it's not what I would recommend for the thyroid patients that I work with. So intermittent fasting is basically just a pattern of eating of when you're not eating and then when you are eating. And the great thing about intermittent fasting is that it's very flexible and that you can do it several different ways and however is most comfortable for you. So what I would recommend for people first starting out with fasting and they want to try it is to do 12 hours of fasting and then 12 hours of an eating window. And that's really easy to do because, you can do most of your fasting time then while you're sleeping.
Nice.
And then as a thyroid patient, you get up in the morning and you take your, thyroid medication, with a full glass of water, and then you have to wait an hour for most patients anyway to start eating. So you've already extended that, and then it's maybe just extend it one more hour to reach that 12-hour mark of when you've been fasting for 12 hours. So the benefits of fasting start at the 12-hour mark usually. Now for some people it takes a little bit longer to kind of start that phase of fasting, but science is saying it starts at 12 hours and then up until 72 hours is when you get the most benefits. After 72 hours of water fasting is when the benefits start to go down. They don't necessarily go away, they just start to go down. So finding that
peak is between 12 hours and what, 72 hours?
72. Mm-hmm.
I know Kieran Christian was talking about that 16-hour being an ideal kind of, for him. He said, didn't he say 16 hours?
He did say 16 hours.
Was an ideal target.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what you want to work up to. That's one of the methods to use. Is called the 16-8. So you have 16 hours of fasting and an 8-hour window of eating.
So is this done continually, Adrienne? I mean, is this something that you do every day, once a week, every other day? I mean, what is your recommendation that you found from the studies?
That's the beauty of it. So everyone's a little bit different, and you can find what works most comfortable for you. When you do the 16-8 or the 12-12, or even what I currently do, which is the 20 and the 4, so 20 hours fasting and a 4-hour eating window, that it can be done safely for most thyroid patients every single day. Another way to do that
Okay, so tell
every
us how
single
you do that.
day.
Give us the times. Give us a day in the, give us a 2-day fasting time, like what you would eat and how that works for you, as an example.
Okay, so for myself, I do the 20 and the 4, so I have 20 hours of fasting and 4 hours of eating. And the way that looks is that I don't eat until 3. Yeah.
Okay.
The more you do it, the easier it gets. And like I said, as a thyroid patient, you're kind of spending your mornings not really eating anyway for a while. So it's just kind of rolling into that longer time period of waiting to eat. So I usually start eating about 3. And when I say start eating, it's usually because I'm starting to prepare dinner. And so I'll munch on the things that, I'm usually making for dinner, like the veggies or the whatnot. I can't think of what else I'd be munching on. But and then we'll eat an early dinner, usually about 4:30 or 5. And then the goal is to stop eating at 7. So from 3 to 7 is our window. And I say with the man that I share my life with also does the 20 and the 4. So from 3 to 7, we can eat. And the most important thing that you can do is to have that nutrient-dense nutrition during the hours that you're eating. Because, one, you have to, restore the nutrients that your body has then depleted during the time that you're fasting. And also because it will make the fasting times that much more comfortable if you're eating nutrient-dense foods that don't have sugar, that aren't inflammatory, like
how many calories do you think you intake in that 4 hours?
I can tell you that it's about 1,400 to 1,800 calories.
Okay, so you're intaking still a very reasonable amount of calories. It's not like you're intaking 300 or 400 calories in those 4 hours. You're consuming a fair amount of calories there.
I am, and the reason being is because you do have, it's just, I find that when you're fasting and then you start to cook dinner, it's such a magical experience, and I can't wait to eat it. And I love just, having like a big leafy green salad, with all the accoutrements that you might want on it. And then we have the high quality meat like grass-fed beef or wild-caught salmon. So you have nutrient-dense foods, but these are also very calorie-dense foods. So
and you probably actually eat very slow. It's almost like a ritual time for you guys, right? Where you just really take your time and God, that's ideal.
Yes, it is. It's beautiful. Right, because otherwise, you're on the run all day, and you're just kind of, you're trying to get some food in you while you're working and you're driving and all that kind of stuff. And when you're fasting, there's so much more time in your day because you're not eating, and you're not,
And it's when anyone that eats like that, they shovel their food. Which, oh my God, the studies. On shoveling your food and illness and oh my goodness, craziness. Now, is that type of the 24 in your studies, have you found, like for clients, have you experienced, low blood sugars or, people, there's so many of us thyroid patients that are pre-diabetic or diabetic. Is that still considered safe for those with those concerns?
So one of the magical things about intermittent fasting is that it will help with your blood sugars. And the recommendation that I make is that during your fasting time, and now these are water fasts, so there's no juice, there's, studies out there with juice fasting. This is a water fast, so it's just good, clean, filtered water that's fluoride-free, or black coffee that has nothing in it, so no sugar, no cream, none of the fun stuff, or herbal tea, like green tea if you can tolerate it, which I don't tolerate green tea very well, or any other herbal tea. Again, nothing added to it. So that is all that you are consuming during your fasting time. What I've experienced, even just with myself, is if I have more than 8 ounces of coffee during my fasting time, I will feel hypoglycemic because it kind of mimics how your blood
Right.
sugars kind of go up and down. That coffee can really, and coffee and thyroid patients, not the best of friends anyway. Not that you have to avoid it unless, you have a professional tell you to avoid it. But I recommend, no more than 8 ounces a day when you're fasting, because it will make you feel jittery and anxious. And what's the first thing you want to do when you start feeling jittery? You want to eat, right? And you usually want to eat something either full of carbs or full of protein because you want that jitteriness to go away. And that's not necessarily your blood sugars going haywire. It just feels like maybe they are. So
is that how much
fasting,
you have, Tiff? Is that how much coffee you have every day? Do you have like just 1 cup a day?
I just have 1 cup in the morning. Yeah, like probably. I would say it's probably 7 ounces, maybe.
Yeah,
I have to measure that out because it's a coffee cup, which is funny because no coffee cup on this planet is 6 ounces.
No, you're
my
right.
coffee cup is like 12 inches high. You're like,
right.
Oh my God, that's like 4 cups of coffee in one.
That's right. You got to measure your cup, right? We have a caller.
No, it's probably about 8 ounces.
Line, Tiff.
But I sleep like a baby. Yeah, I don't have any problems there. What's that?
You have a caller on the line?
Yeah.
We do?
Hold on 1 second. Yep.
I don't mean to sound shocked.
Hi, you're live on Thyroid.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Loud and clear.
Well, hey, gals, it's Jenny calling in.
Hi.
Hi.
I am glued to this show. We adore Adrienne. For the listeners, I'm Jenny Mahar, Dana's business partner.
I know who you are, Sudie.
Thyroid Refresh. And Adrienne, we're so excited about your podcast launch today. So congratulations.
Yay, thank you so much. That's so great. Thank you.
And as, just to let people know, you're our team nutritionist for Thyroid Refresh. So, but I have been glued to the show because I love intermittent fasting. This has been like a new discovery for me, and I've been experimenting with it, and I really feel great. I've been amazed at how much more energy I have, and yes, it's nice, not to have to spend so much time cooking and eating, especially with like breakfast, which can be challenging for someone like me who tries to avoid gluten, dairy, and eggs. So it's like, I guess I'll have some fruit and maybe some, grass-fed sausage or something again. But anyway, I was remembering when I was training for my wedding, so 13 years ago, the trainer said, you need to eat 6 meals a day because that's going to keep your metabolism up. And I know nutrition science changes, it's always in this state of evolution. But it's made me wonder, well, is that not true, or how does intermittent fasting affect our metabolism? That's a question that we get from a lot of our audience. How do I boost my metabolism? I'm struggling with weight gain. Can you tell us a little bit about how intermittent fasting and metabolism work together?
Yes. I'm so excited that you asked that question because I love to address this. The science shows that even if you are a thyroid patient, so this is just a normal, adult over the age of 18, that fasting from 12 to 72 hours increases your metabolism. It's magical like that. After 72 hours, that's when your metabolism and your thyroid function will start to decrease. So that's why I recommend not doing it for more than 72 hours at a time. But when you're doing the intermittent fasting, like the 16-8 or even the 12-12, you're getting those benefits of revving up your metabolism a little bit. And intermittent fasting, when it comes to weight loss, will really help to decrease abdominal fat, which is the scary, unhealthy kind. So not only, are you increasing your metabolism, but you're, quote unquote, targeting the unhealthy fat around your organs.
That is so great to hear because that's kind of been the fear in the back of my head is, am I screwing with my metabolism by doing this? And yeah, that's great news.
Such the opposite of that. So How long have you two guys been doing the intermittent fasting?
Since the beginning of May, but I actually did intermittent fasting through my 20s without knowing that it was intermittent fasting. I was just a busy gal who worked 60 hours a week, and I, had to commute 2 hours a day, and my one meal for the entire day would be lunch. And I would get home so late that I would just drink my tea, and I would, fall into bed exhausted. And I felt really great, but I didn't realize that was a thing. I actually, at the time, thought I was being unhealthy by only eating one meal a day. That's how ingrained this information is for us. The eat 3 meals a day and then eat 2 more, meals and or snacks on top of that. So we're constantly just overfeeding our bodies with nutrients, and sometimes without the nutrients, if they're, just empty calories. But we're telling ourselves that they constantly need to be doing this work of processing these nutrients. So one of the biggest benefits, and the one that I love to talk about and preach, the benefits of fasting is something called autophagy. And autophagy only happens when you're fasting. Your cells have to stop processing those nutrients in order to begin the process of autophagy. And autophagy is just a fancy word for house cleaning. And once your cells aren't concentrating on processing all the glucose and the nutrients, it can turn into itself and say, okay, now we're going to clean out all the damaged DNA and repair ourselves. Or if it's not repairable, then it's a process called apoptosis, which is cell death, and that's needed as well. So the bad cells can die off and hopefully not turn into something like, cancer. So if they don't get a chance to die off, then you get those mutations, right? So there's a lot of, great information about the studies that are being done on intermittent fasting and cancer prevention. And not only cancer prevention, but also with if you do have cancer and you're doing chemotherapy, studies are showing that if you fast for at least 12 hours prior to your chemotherapy treatment, your chemotherapy treatment will be much more effective on those cells. And it has been shown to protect you against some of those awful side effects of the chemotherapy.
Interesting.
So this autophagy, it only happens during fasting, and you need to be fasting at least 12 hours. And that gives your cells a chance to rest and repair, and it's so needed, and we don't ever give ourselves that chance anymore versus, thousands and thousands of years ago when we had to go through periods of starvation and feast, right? We worked with the rhythm of the seasons.
Right.
Then our bodies had a chance to rest and repair. So that's why I love to talk about autophagy. It's my word of the year.
And that's where the remission comes in. Right.
That's where the remission comes in. That's where inflammation goes down. That's where you start to feel so much better, and you get the brain fog goes away, your energy increases, and it's just if you are a thyroid patient who is thinking about fasting, I would recommend do it. Start out at the 12-12 and then increase your window of fasting as it feels more comfortable to you.
And that was actually
really
part
quickly,
of my...
I was going to say really quickly, Jenny, you're still there. When did you start your fasting?
Probably right around the time you guys had Kieran on the show.
Right? Okay, so my question before I forget, and I apologize because I'm like, oh God, wait, I need a pen. I'll just write these things down. So one of the biggest things that I've read, okay, I've only done it one day, a little scary for me because, my God, since I was 19, the big thing was 6 meals like you were talking about, Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
And in the midst of that, I'm just sharing my own personal experience. It doesn't mean that this is, the whatever. But my metabolism became less efficient. Okay, I see it now. Like, right, hindsight is 20/20 and just fabulous, and yet sucks all at the same time. But it teaches your metabolism to be weaker. Okay, so one of the things I was going to ask Adrienne is, and the reason I asked you both how long you've been doing it, is to ask you about if you've experienced weight loss, because what I've read, and I'm just too afraid to do it because I've got this mentality of 6 meals, and that's what's, regulated my blood sugars and blah, 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 blah. But one of the biggest things that I've read is that ability where the body becomes weak and relies on carbohydrates to be well, whereas when we have those intermittent fasting periods, the body learns to burn fat. Like it's supposed to just swing like a pendulum, and Adrienne, correct me if I'm wrong, but where it can burn carbohydrates, and then when it gets used to intermittent fasting, which is the design by origin, should be able to burn the fat in the times that we do not have access to food. Am I going somewhere scientifically with that, Adrienne, that you know? So when you fast, the body learns to shift back and forth like it's supposed to, right?
Yes. So, right. So the majority of Americans are what we call sugar burners, and what we want to do is be fat burners. We want to use our fat to burn, but it's not necessarily easy for the body to tap into that form of energy. And when there's glucose in our system, it will never tap into fat, because glucose, it says, yes, that's the easy, that is low-hanging fruit for our body in order to fuel all the cells that it needs. It's just going to grab the glucose. So when there's no more glucose for the body to use, it will say, oh, okay, so let's start tapping into these other stores that we have, even though it's not as efficient and we don't really like to, but we will. And the studies have actually shown that when you start intermittent fasting, that even when you do have your meal of the day, or your 2 meals if you're doing like the 12 and the 12, that during those meals your body is much more efficient at using fat and glucose as forms of energy. Yes. So exactly.
See, when I read that, I was like, I can totally wrap my head. I mean, there are very few things that I just take that deep breath and I go, I can wrap my head around that. I can wrap my head around that.
It's a light bulb moment. You're like, oh, yes.
It did stabilize my blood sugars, but in the midst of that, I remained overweight. You see what I'm saying? So it was like, ugh. So, now I've got all of these fabulous things, and I did do one 16-hour fast because I do have the genetics that has some neurotransmission issues. And so in the past, when I would go too long without eating or removing too many carbohydrates and things like that, I have some issues. And they're significant. It's not a teeny tiny issue. And when we talked to Ben Lynch, he spoke a little bit about that, where he has the same genetics and the same problems. And I don't think that's really become a very popular topic yet. But when I did the 16-hour fast, I felt fine. See, that's not all the time. You see what I'm saying? So it was, it's doable. Yeah. So I tried it once, 16 hours, and I felt fine. I felt great. I think I stopped eating about 4 o'clock, and then I think I woke up and had my coffee at which I put coconut milk in, and then ate, I think, about like 9 o'clock. And it really felt great. I'm like, okay, I can do this. But then it was kind of like, well, how often should I be doing this?
As often as you want. So that kind of a fast, I would say you can do that every single day safely. Now, if you wanted to be adventurous and you feel very comfortable with the 16-8 or the 20 and the 4, then you can try the 72-hour one. And I don't recommend that to do that more than twice a month, because it is a little bit more, and you are depleting your body of nutrients. So you do need to take the time to get those nutrients back in. So I attempted to do the 72-hour fast just a couple of weeks ago, and I thought I was the champion and I was going to make it all the way. And I actually, at about hour 44 is when I started to listen to my body, which is another thing that I wanted to bring up. It's really important to listen to your body. If your body's telling you to stop your fast, then please stop your fast and
now,
go eat
Adrienne,
something that's very nutrient dense.
What would that language entail? Shakiness,
well, for me,
irritability, lightheadedness.
Yes.
What would be some good signs where people would? I mean, are they supposed to work through it, or what is that? One of the
things about fasting is that hunger is not constant through fasting. You know, it comes and it goes in waves. So if a hunger pain kind of comes, one of the best things you can do is just, chug some water.
Drink some water.
Weirdly enough, it goes right away. And so sometimes during those hunger pains, it's your body asking for water. Now, when I hit about hour 40, the hunger pain came and it didn't go away. And I was irritable. I didn't want to do anything. I was doing it with, the man I share my life with, and he was also irritable, and we were snapping a little bit at each other. And he decided to be, on the other side of the house from me. And at about hour 43 I was on Pinterest, and all I could do was just keep looking at pictures of food. And I would send them to him. So I was texting him from across the house, pictures of food. And that's when I finally said, I think my body says I need to stop this fast. And I think 44 hours is amazing. And I was a little disappointed that I didn't make it to 72, but that doesn't mean I can't, try again. So
maybe it's like running a marathon,
exactly.
where you have
to train yourself to get there. Mm-hmm.
Right. Because I know Kieran was talking a little bit about having to work up to it, didn't he, Dana? He was saying, start with a 10, and if you get that down, then go to 12, and then, so maybe it's like a marathon. You kind of have to work up to that. You know what I mean? I don't know.
And roll into it.
He did say that he averages about 14. He tries for more, but just with his travel and his schedule and things, and that he finds it works for him. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be 16 all the time. Maybe you get there once, or maybe you get there twice, right?
Now, Jenny, what are you doing?
She's already gone. She's already gone. She's gone.
Oh, okay. We got 4 people. Gone. We got to be. I wonder what. PM her and ask her what hour range she's doing. Is it like Adrienne's, or is she doing a different one?
I am texting her right now.
Because I'm curious, like what's working for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if she has
the other
weight
benefit
loss, like how
that I wanted to talk about that happens during fasting is that it promotes the human growth hormone. So that only happens also during fasting, and it usually happens when we're sleeping, but it'll happen, like if you have a longer fast, it'll also, your human growth hormone will kick in, and that burns fat and builds muscle. So if we're always eating particularly high-carb diet, your human growth hormone isn't activated. It's not working. The other benefits I just wanted to throw down real quick is that it can help reverse diabetes, reverse high blood pressure, decrease your triglycerides. And like I said before, it helps with the cancer treatments if you're going through that. And the other thing that I wanted to throw down before we all run away is that fasting isn't for everyone, and I wanted to just make sure that I got it out there that that you shouldn't do it if you're pregnant or nursing, that you're malnourished or underweight. The big one for me is don't do it if you're sleep deprived. And that's when you talk about Kieran, with his busy schedule and stress. Right. Stress and sleep deprivation will hinder your fasting process faster than anything else. And if you've ever noticed that if you don't sleep well, the next day you're more hungry, and that's just because your body is looking for fuel. You didn't give it sleep, so it's got to have something else. So fasting when you're sleep deprived is really hard and uncomfortable. Also, don't do fasting if you have a history of eating disorders. For obvious reasons, it tends to be maybe another tool that they'll use to, develop and eat another one or so on.
Context.
Yes, exactly. Children under 18, shouldn't be fasting or after a surgery or a major illness. So it's not for everyone, but
what about adrenals?
Yes, and if your adrenals are, thank you for bringing that up. And if you are having adrenal fatigue, please don't fast either.
Hey,
now just adrenal fatigue
not
or
fair.
actual, right, or actual cortisone problems? Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like, because I think adrenal fatigue is kind of everybody
Extreme.
feels like they have adrenal fatigue. So are we talking about like a clinically defined adrenal fatigue, or can you elaborate on that?
Okay, so there's fatigue and then there's adrenal fatigue, and if you are overly fatigued anyway, probably fasting is not what you're going to want to be doing until you can get to a place that
So maybe
isn't
not like with
taxing for you.
active Epstein-Barr and things like that too. So if you're fighting like Lyme disease or something like that, it's not going to apply.
Yes, I wouldn't do it. And you can, if you are in an active storm at the moment, and you do fasting, you're going to feel it. And this goes back to what I was saying before. Listen to your body. If your body says don't fast, then don't fast. It's, you're going to do more harm than good at that point.
Well, there'll be side effects, like the first time, you try it. I mean, because what I'm thinking is, I know a few people who could benefit, and I'm thinking they're going to say, but I get shaky at, whatever, and I feel like I need to eat, at a certain time.
Maybe try some water, like Adrienne said. Try some water, and then if it doesn't go away, what would you say, Adrienne, to that?
Yeah, well, one, don't do it with coffee then. So skip the coffee, and which might be harder than fasting for most people. I don't know. I'm fine if I don't have coffee, but for me, coffee is more of a ritual anyway. It's just kind of a warm something to drink in the morning, and the smell of it.
You can pry my coffee out of my cold, dead hands. That's what I think. I only do 1 cup. It's not like I'm reliant, like you said. I'm not reliant on it all day to stay awake, and it's a ritual for me. It's a morning warm, holding the cup. I even hold the cup, and it's warm, and it feels good, and it's
smells
a ritual.
good.
Oh, yeah, right.
So if you're shaky while you're fasting, chances are it's because you need to drink more water, and you need to not have the caffeine. So there's, caffeine also in green tea. So if you're relying on green tea to get you through your fasting window and you're shaky, then I would remove that as well.
And we know we have to let you go because you have your amazing podcast that's going to kick off here soon. But I have to ask you the burning question. Did you have any weight loss that you noticed?
Yes. Oh, okay. Yes. And so, and also the amazing man I share my life with has had more significant weight loss than I have. I've lost about 12 pounds since May doing this. Now, as a thyroid patient, I think that fasting longer is going to give me a better benefit than doing the 20 and the 4. And that's just because I'm a slow metabolizer. And I know that for a fact because I did the hair analysis. But when you're a slow metabolizer, it takes longer for the glucose to get, out of your system so your cells aren't processing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I just had a question. Okay, where did it go? Wait. Okay, it's gone.
Did Ginny say what she was doing?
Yes, Ginny did tell me. She's doing, let's see, she goes 7 p.m. to 11 a.m. on a good day. I mean, and on a good day she can do 17 hours, but she only does it 3 or 4 times a week and not on the weekends.
And what are her big benefits? Did she notice any weight loss? I know she said more energy and
increased energy, but no weight loss.
How long has she been doing it, though? I mean, does it take a while, Adrienne, for the system to, like, I don't know. I wish you guys, you know what I want Thyroid Refresh and the nutritional gingers to do is do, ask for, like Isabella does, have you done it? What are you doing? What were your, or make like a standardized study of everybody doing it 12, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And see what people experience, like Isabella does with the food, and I would love to see
medication
it on intermittent
and stuff
fasting
like that.
with thyroid patients, right? Wouldn't that be cool?
As I get more of this information out and to really explain the science, I didn't want to just go into my my thyroid. I have a private thyroid support group on Facebook. I didn't want to just go in there and say like, hey, I'm doing this, so you should try it. Like I really wanted to have the science that backed it up and the reasons. And also I wanted to have my own experience under my belt before I could go and say, yes, this is safe from my, from a nutritionist experience of this.
Well, I'll be looking towards Thyroid Refresh and grass-fed gingers for that to come out and see what we all experienced. Wouldn't that be cool?
And I was going to tell you one thing Jenny did say is that she's had to change her medicine, her medications 3 times so far since she started. So it really does.
That's so great.
What about her antibodies? Was she by chance measuring her antibodies? Too hard to do with Adrienne. Although, Adrienne, did you know what your antibodies were before May? Were you still up there?
They were at 9, and I haven't, because I moved, and so I haven't been back to the doctor since April. So in April they were at 9, and I would honestly,
for us,
suspect them to be still in remission, just based on the way that I feel.
Well, right. For you, it's too hard to tell. I mean, I was thinking maybe if you were at like 200 in May, and then now you're at 9, that would be fair. You know, that'd be a fair hypothesis. But I wonder if Ginny's antibodies, where those were. Yeah,
I don't know.
That'd be fun.
We'll ask her. I know she did essentially cut her antibodies in half, and her antibodies were pretty low. But I don't know if they've changed or not, so we'll ask her and see what she says.
That's cool. I'm just saying. I'm waiting for that standardized studies, ladies. Do it.
Right?
We're working on it.
Right? Well, then it's just another reason for people to go, this works. I mean, I really, like I said, I've only done it once. I kind of, a little fear factor there, but I just think it's really cool, and I can bite into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just reasonable.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Except for me, because I'm having to take hydrocortisone right now, so I guess I probably don't fit in that category, huh?
Well, it depends. We don't know if you're autoimmune.
I would say,
I
would say you can absolutely give it a go for the 12 and 12 and see how you feel.
Okay.
Again, it's all about listening to your body. And if you feel at 10 hours or 11 hours that you can't possibly go any longer, that's your body saying, we can't go any longer, and then you need to break the fast.
Okay.
Right,
well,
because if it has the ability, the autophagy, right, our favorite word. If it
autophagy
has that ability,
is my favorite word. After
Dana,
12 hours, you're getting the benefits.
Right, and you're having autoimmune on your adrenal glands, right? Then you have that potential to possibly reset. Like, there's so much that this potentially could do for so many people.
It could help.
And
right?
cancer.
Yes.
That's
yes.
really cool. I'm going to have to, that's awesome.
Yeah, so excited. This has been the coolest podcast. I love you, Adrienne. Really, so much fun and such great information. Truly, truly so happy to have you on the show. And good luck with your grass-fed gingers, which is launching today. She will be on Facebook Live, 10:45 Pacific time. And where else can everybody find you?
You can find me at thyroidwhisperer.com. You can find me, Thyroid Whisperer, on Facebook. You can join my Facebook support group for thyroid patients. It's probably one of the most, I would say, supportive and warm and loving and educational thyroid groups that you could belong to on Facebook. And I just wanted to say, you guys, that I have been a listener since the beginning, and I was a huge fan before I was ever a certified nutritionist, and so this has been the highest honor that I could have. So thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, my
How cool
goodness.
is that?
Goosebumps.
Right?
Well, we love you. Thank you so much. We're so glad that you were here with us today, and I'm just all smiles, so I don't really have anything else to say except for that.
I'm
makes me
excited.
kind of like, yeah, me too. Well, I'm excited about the intermittent fasting for sure. Okay, well, good luck to you, and we will see you soon.
Oh,
and
thank you guys. Love you
podcast.
too. Thank
Super
you.
Exciting. All right, I'm going to tune in. Actually, I need to make some phone calls first. But
off we go.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye guys. Thank you.
All right, so now it's just clearer. The whole intermittent fasting thing. You know what I'm saying? Because there was so much, Karen lit that fire, And so this was more like meat and potatoes. I mean, between Ginny and Adrienne getting a couple different versions and benefits, and Adrienne and presenting the research, I don't know. I think I have to do it. I don't have a choice right now,
I think
honestly.
I'm
gonna.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
You're gonna do it.
Who knows? Maybe that's the reason for this whole thing. You never know.
No.
Right?
I know, right? Yeah, definitely. Wow, it was so interesting. I'm so excited, but I'm still going to try. I'm going to try the 10 and see, the 12 and see how I do. I know I can go 10,
I think you
so I'm
should.
going to try the 12. I think so.
Because you have verified adrenal issues, low cortisol. So for you, it would be interesting to see. Maybe it'll jumpstart them. I'm serious, honey.
No, I know.
It's totally worth doing, just like Adrienne said. Maybe try the 12 and 12 and work up to to it. I don't know.
Maybe it'll help with my
sugar. It's like
sugar.
a marathon a little bit.
Maybe it'll help with my sugar too. Wow,
right?
I'm excited. Yes. Okay, so
between you and I, we have some really good things to see where it goes.
We do.
You see what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Right.
I do. Okay, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate you listening. Adrienne's been a listener since the beginning. How very cool is that? If she's still listening, or all of you out there, we would love a review on iTunes. Please hop over there and give us your thoughts. It will help others find us and get some great information. And while you're there, you can download some other shows. And, of course, you can check us out on Stitcher and Google Play.
Absolutely. You going to tell us about Thyroid Refresh and what's going on?
Yeah. Thyroid Refresh. Sorry, I thought you were going to talk about Thrive Probiotic. So I was just sitting here thinking, okay, it's not my turn yet. Okay, so Thyroid Refresh has launched, thyroidrefresh.com. You could think of it as a living, breathing thyroid lifestyle magazine. We worked really hard to put some thoughtful, inspiring, supportive information all together in one place to help you feel empowered. And the content is just first class. And we try to feed it to you in bite-sized, digestible pieces so that you're not overwhelmed. And there's cooking videos and recipes and all kinds of specialized movement videos for you that aren't too long. And all of that kind of leads us to our upcoming flagship product launch, which will be in September, Thyroid 30. It's a 30-day wellness adventure. You play on teams if you want, and you can earn badges and rewards, and it's really neat. It's gamified and should be a real hit. We're very excited, and that will be launching end of September, so we cannot wait.
That is super exciting.
Yep.
And yes, Thrive Probiotic, please check them out. Very unique. Also very, very important to the gut, along with intermittent fasting, thriveprobiotic.com. Dana and I, most importantly, want to always remind you that wellness is a journey and takes continual maintenance and evaluation. This is not a one and you're done disease. So make sure to always listen to your body and be mindful of what it is telling you.
Especially if you're doing an intermittent fasting, if you're trying it. Right. It will tell you if you're hungry, right? This is Dana.
And Tiffany.
Your Thyroid Nation Thrivers, bringing the collective voice of thyroid thrivers worldwide so that together, united, we heal. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Have a great week.